radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Jacalyn. Take charge of your life personally, financially, and professionally. Visit drjacalyn.com to book an appointment today.
Hello and welcome to Dr. Jacalyn. This is Dr. Jacalyn's favorite part of the show where I get to introduce our guests. This is a better you. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. And with me today are some of the best leaders and experts in their field. Let me introduce them to you right now. We have Mr. Ralph Graves Jr., Mr. Alex Kaplan, Ms. Cinda Rothman, and dear James. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. What a thrill it is. We already have a comment. Good to see you, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for watching. It's terrific. So, folks, the purpose of our show is for our presenters to share something to motivate, stimulate, to just blow us away, really. And they will have 15 minutes to present, and after which we will, as a group, be a panel, and we will discuss the presentation. So this is really exciting, and I want to get started right away with you, Alex, live from California. Thank you for being here and getting up so early.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So, Alex, why don't you start off telling us a little bit about what you do and what you hope that the audience takes away from the program?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Alex Kaplan. I'm the co-founding executive director of Substance. We're an innovative nonprofit working to overcome the shame, blame, and stigma of addiction and all stigmatized struggles in an innovative way. We make premium, entertaining short films, everything from romantic comedies to thrillers, to use turning immersive cinema into an approachable tool for behavioral change. I'm very excited to tell you all about it later. But what I hope for us to leave with today is a sense of connection and self-worth and positivity.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Thank you. Dear James, also from California today, can you please give an introduction about yourself and what you hope that the audience will take away from your presentation?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. I am Dear James. I'm an intuitive advice columnist, radio host, author, and consultant. And so inevitably what I do is I listen to the unseen and I approach things in terms of, you hear about life coaching, but for me, it's about soul coaching. It's going directly to the soul, to the heart of the matter. And from the unseen, I listen to the messages that are provided for your highest and best and deliver them in a way that you can hear them, receive them, and then actually activate them, utilize them. And what I hope that you take away from this today is just the sincerity of this group, of this panel, of the wisdom, of the desire to show up, and that ultimately for the world, you have a better you have a better us. And so that's what I hope for today.
Thank you for sharing, dear James. Also from California is Cinda Rothman. Cinda, will you please introduce yourself and share with us what you hope the audience takes away from your presentation?
Sure. I'm very happy to be here this morning. And what I do in my practice is help people change. We all have something about us that we would like to have be different. At least most people I've met so far do. And I help people harness the power of their subconscious mind to make that change easier. The conscious mind is only 10% of our minds. The subconscious mind is 90%. So let's harness that and get it going in the same direction you want to go.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cinda. And to you, Mr. Ralph Graves Jr.
Good morning, everyone. Jacalyn, I'm so happy to be here. I'm the only person not from California. I'm on a panel with four other brilliant people. Are you sure you have the right person? I'm a retired police officer after 20 years. I'm here in the state of New Jersey. I'm an author, radio host. I pastor a church. I speak all over the country, and we're going to talk about the law of control. We're going to talk about. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. About 7 principles. There's so many principles you can live by, but 7 universal laws that'll really change the way that you pursue and achieve success. And I kind of put them together with stories I've seen out on the big bad streets of New Jersey. So I'm here to talk about that, and I'm going to learn today more than anything else. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it is my honor to have you here today. As I mentioned before, I have so much respect for each of you, for all of you. You have touched my life in so many ways. So I want to wait no longer so that our audience can get to hear from you and you can shine your light on them. Alex, are you ready to get started?
I guess now's as good a time as any.
Okay, I'm going to spotlight you, and then I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. As I mentioned, my name is Alex Kaplan, and I'm the co-founding executive director of Substance. So to get into it, again, what we do is we work to overcome the shame, blame, and stigma surrounding addiction and other stigmatized struggles in a very innovative way. We make premium, entertaining short films, everything from romantic comedies to sci-fis and thrillers, to help people overcome their struggles, their shame, and experience connection and feel less alone and overcome isolation. So we're taking immersive cinema, movies like everything from Aliens to You've Got Mail, but in bite-sized forms to act as a tool, an approachable tool for behavioral change. These are going into education as well as treatment, from treatment centers to one-on-one addiction therapy to fraternities and sororities and universities and high schools, as well as hospitals, where this is what we do, right? Now, the movies have this magical ability, right? When we watch Queen's Gambit or we watch whatever we're watching, the immersive scripted premium quality entertainment has this magical ability to disarm us as audiences and allow us to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, go on this emotional human journey with strangers and understand their perspectives and get immersed in their situations so that we might transform the way we think and feel toward ourselves, others in our lives, and our beliefs in what's possible. So Of Substance is built on the notion that addiction is a disease of loneliness and isolation, and the belief that if you can improve someone's sense of belonging, you can improve their mindset. So I'll say that again. If you can improve someone's sense of belonging, you can improve their mindset. So Of Substance is not in the business of creating film. We're in the business of creating community and connection and an opportunity for people to connect, feel connected, feel seen, and feel represented. The thing about if this isolation and disconnection, shame, is not unique to addiction. So we all struggle with something we feel shame around, that we hide, that we feel, that makes us feel disconnected and even unworthy and less valuable. And that's okay. That's being human. And so that's the magic of our tool. That's the magic of our films, our 5 to 10 minute movies that are not about addiction. Addiction just happens to be the circumstance. Our films are actually about our characters' emotional journeys and their human experiences, dealing with isolation, disconnection, shame, and then focusing on the power of connection to fundamentally bring us all out of that sense of disconnection and isolation. Now that's universally relatable, whether you struggle with bipolar disorder, or you or you're going through menopause or getting your first period. Everybody struggles and experiences something, from bullying to eating disorders. We all have something that we feel shame around. And instead of keeping it locked in, we encourage people to lead with vulnerability. We're working toward a world where we all feel more courageous in how we show up every day by practicing vulnerability. And so we have one of our films to show today, which is I picked it because it's perfect for radio. It's just a quick monologue, and I challenge you. It is about addiction, but can you relate to it, whether you're an addict or not? And so I'd love to introduce Band-Aids.
If they ain't got two, then don't bring none at all.
You know what I used to do? I used to wear Band-Aids on my fingers, a couple on each hand. And not the regular kind, you know, the kind your kids wear. Looney Tunes, Disney shit, Dumbo, Tinkerbell. And it's not that I'd cut myself or anything, I wore them so that anytime I'd reach for a drink, they would catch my eye and it would remind me of my little girls. Well, my daughters are not so little anymore. God, anytime they cut their knee or anything, they used to get so pissed at me if they had to use the boring tan Band-Aids. I started buying the kids' ones in bulk. It was, I guess, a type of training in a way. I had to learn how not to drink. I'd see the Band-Aids, I would picture my girls, and I wouldn't take a sip. The Band-Aids, my girls, another day sober. It was classical conditioning, in its simplest form. Except I had to be both Pavlov and the dog. But I had no choice. My girls needed me. They needed me. 2 years I wore those Band-Aids every single day. And, do you know how many freaking Band-Aids that is? Till I finally felt comfortable enough to take them off. That was 6.5 years ago. And now every time I see my hands, the Band-Aids, they're already there. And my girls are there reminding me who I do it for. So yeah, like you said, when you see those ads on the sides of buses or wherever they are that say, imagine your life after addiction. I don't know. I realize how they don't get it. There is no life after addiction. You guys know it's always there with you. It never goes away. And the way I describe it to my kids, I say it's kind of like Peter Pan's shadow. It's always trying to trick you, to get you to do things that you shouldn't. Sometimes I still to this day, I have to stop whatever it is I'm doing and just... And that's okay. It's okay to be an addict. I know I'm stronger for it. Forces you to be smarter, to be vigilant, persistent, present. And it's something we'll all have to manage every single day for the rest of our lives. And we can. But no, it never goes away.
Hey, so that's Band-Aids. And yeah, it takes place in a uh, addiction support group, but uh, it's about everything more than just addiction and not drinking. For those of you who are on the radio and couldn't see, it's a single shot film with a camera in the center of a circle of a support group and one man talking, telling his story. And the camera just starts to spin and it turns and it shows everybody in the circle. And while he's talking about this universally relatable experience of dealing with a struggle that requires daily vigilance, we see the diversity of the people in the circle, people of all different creeds, ethnicities, backgrounds, cultures, and we see that we're not so different. Doesn't matter the color of our skin, doesn't matter where we're from, doesn't matter our gender or our sexual orientation. It doesn't matter if we struggle with alcohol or heroin or pills or anorexia or being gay or bullying. It really doesn't matter. All of us fear, which is very natural. But fear, as people keep telling me, is false evidence appearing real. It's not real. It's a perspective. It's natural for us to experience, but once we recognize what is it we're struggling with, and we start to try to overcome it, just show up every day and put in the effort to see if we can do a little bit better, we start to realize that maybe we can. I myself am on my own journey of sobriety. I have my own struggles, and it's been a near 8-year journey of trying to get off of it. And 4 years I spent falling down and picking myself back up. And this piece for me is about that journey of the human experience, of how lucky I feel to be an addict, because it forced me to have to learn to not stay down, not live in that dark well once something got the better of me, but to just show up and try and get better and better at picking myself up. We all fall down. Addiction is a disease characterized by relapse. We're expected to fall. We're all expected to fall with everything that we do in life. And the sooner that we can change our relationship with failure and falling and understand that it's just part of the process of leveling up and improving and evolving and growing, the sooner we get to enjoy it and stop fearing it so much. So in this new year, I really hope that what we can focus on is possibility, what we're all capable of, and start to find more excitement in the journey. We focus so much on the end, right? We focus so much on the destination, but as I had a conversation with a friend just a couple of weeks ago, where he was talking about moving on from a career and trying something else, and he was like, but did I justify it? I spent a lot of money. I spent a lot of time on this. Did I do enough to justify it? And I said, when you're 96, let's hope we get to 96 and we're on our deathbed. I don't think the question is, did I beat this finite game? Did I make it to the finish line? Did I come in first? The question we hope to ask ourselves is, did I realize early enough to intentionally choose to be happy in as many moments as possible? And I hope that we all spend 2021 realizing that we can intentionally choose the things that make our lives worth living, our days worth pushing through. We all have something that requires daily vigilance, and you're not alone. You're not crazy, and others get it. And so funny, we think of isolation as this sense of being alone, but really, if you feel isolated in some way, it just means that you're part of a group you're not thinking about. You're focusing on the wrong group, because there is somebody out there who identifies with you. There's somebody out there. There's many people out there who whose group you belong to. You're never alone. You're not crazy. And there are others who get it. And you are valuable and you are worthwhile. And so with that, I invite you to visit ofsubstance.org is our website. All of our films, we have 9 to date. They're all free. It's a free resource. If you have somebody in your life who struggles with addiction, or somebody who is touched by somebody who struggles with addiction, send our website their way. We don't push any form of treatment or anything. Our films just discuss the lonely bottoms and the highest highs, and promotes connection and love. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks, everybody.
That was really phenomenal. I have to say, when I watched the film, I was just, I had felt so many emotions. And when that camera went around, I couldn't believe how many people were in that room, because I thought it was maybe 2 or 3 people having a conversation, and then people from all walks of life. It's beautifully done. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Mr. Graves, Reverend Graves, what are your thoughts?
That was awesome. Let me tell you, I wrote down the website. I'm going to link it to my webpage if you don't mind. Man, you know, I deal with people in all walks of life, man. I just really want to send them there. And you know, a lot of times having to sit through different films are so cheesy. That was so professionally, that was so well done. It just drew me in, man. Everything about it, the lighting, the shooting, the camera, the angles, the actors. Thank you for that. And the information. Because all that was so well done, I was just drawn in to the whole story and the information that was given. And thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Reverend. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear James, any comments from you?
Absolutely. If I could have jumped up in the middle of it and actually applauded you, or at the end and done it, it was so poignant. It was so moving and captivating in the sense that you captured people's souls and the reality of humanity and what you struggle with. And you can see it. I'm a little emotional because as I think about it, what I love the most is the empowerment that it offers. The people that you're working with and humanity itself, all of us, as you said, the relatability of it. And so I commend you. I commend everybody working with it and everything. It was incredibly poignant and beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear James. Cinda.
What our radio listeners couldn't see as the camera panned around the room was that each person there was from a different walk of life. It looked like there was a nurse, a construction worker, a professional. You know, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. We all have these issues. Even if we're, you know, sitting here in a suit and tie and looking all professional, we still need the Band-Aids.
That's for sure. Thank you, Cinda. Thank you, Alex. So well done. Alex, I know you have a special offer for our audience. Do you want to share what that is?
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody, so much. So what we're doing is we're just standing up this nonprofit. We know we have a remarkable tool, and we're not trying to strangle it and say this is what it needs to look like. We're building curriculums and programs to go into treatment, education, to go into training nurses, as well as to be used with patients and their families. The potential for this tool is infinite, and we're just getting started. We're a nonprofit. We just did our very first raise. We've got a goal of $50,000. We've already raised $24,000 in 23 days, and we're still going, which is very exciting. But in this first year of standing up this company, we're offering free workshops. So our workshops, we call them movies and conversations experiences, where we'll come in to a small group of a private group of friends and family, a support group. We're actually going to a prestigious university, and we're starting to pilot our workshops with their clubs and their classes starting in February. And then what these look like are their 60 to 90 minute sessions with a group of 10 to 20 individuals, where we bring people together on a platform like this So it's comfortable and COVID safe from the comfort of your own home. We introduce who we are, substance, what we stand for, and then we watch a couple of movies together. We'll watch Band-Aids, and then we have an audience-led conversation. We see our films as triggers for vulnerability. They're catalysts to deeper conversations that allow us to plant some seeds for potential change without patronizing our audiences with a certain tone, and inviting people and respecting our audience to feel for themselves. So we offer these 60 to 90-minute workshops that are just rinse and repeat of 3 to 4 films and conversations, and we're offering those for free throughout 2021. So if you, or if somebody you know or an organization you're part of might be interested in bringing us into your company, bringing us into your support group, bringing us into your group of friends or your family to offer one of these sessions for free, we'd love it. Please reach out to us. My email is alex@ofsubstance.org. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Really appreciate that. We do have some comments. And by the way, we love to hear from you. So please feel free to reach out to us on any of our platforms. Let's see, Facebook user, Alex, what a great concept based on compassion and empathy. Thank you very much. That's beautiful. We also have another comment from Deborah Wilson. Such a deeply touching and heartfelt presentation. Thank you, Alex, for all you're doing to be of service to humanity.
Thank you, Deborah.
That's my sister, actually.
Oh, hi, Deb.
Deborah. Okay, thanks, Deb, for watching. So we are moving on to Cinda. Cinda, are you ready for your 15-minute presentation?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Let me spotlight you, and then let me bring up the 15-minute timer. And take it away, Cinda.
So as a hypnotherapist, I work with clients all over the country to help them achieve their goals for a better life. One of the beliefs that my work is based on is that we become what we think about, what we focus on. So today I'd like to share a tool to help you focus on what you really want in life, your personal and professional goals for 2021. I've created a hypnotherapy-based 3-part method that helps you focus on these goals. Step 1 is about determining your goals for 2021 so that you can translate those goals into action steps in steps 2 and 3. So step 2 is putting together a vision board so that you have something tangible that you can focus on each and every day as you're going through your life. These are my goals. This is what I'm shooting for. And then number 3 is creating a set of affirmations so that you can daily remind yourself again what those goals are. I suggest that you read and write them throughout the day so that they become a part of your subconscious and also your conscious mind to help you. So let's do a quick exercise to help you get in touch with what your goals are for 2021. It's still January, and we have 11 and a half months yet to make progress in what our goals are for the end of the year. So take a moment, get in a comfortable position, feet flat on the floor if possible. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Imagine a beautiful white light coming down from the universe, down from the sky, into the top of your head, and flowing throughout your body. Relaxing each part of your body as it slowly moves down from your head, over your forehead, your eyes and face, down your neck, and out through your arms, all the way down to your fingertips. Flows down through your body, into your thighs, into your knees, down to the bottom of your legs, and out the end of your toes. Now take a big, deep breath and get in touch with how calm and relaxed you feel. Now imagine that it is December 31st, 2021. What would you like to have achieved? Take a look at a couple of different areas in your life that could use improvement. If these two areas were to significantly change, what would be the impact on your life? Take a deep breath and remember those two areas that you would like to change. Maybe even take a moment and jot down what your goals might be in those areas. Now that you have your goals in mind for 2021, you are ready for step 2, making your vision board. A vision board is a visual reminder of what our goals are. I like to make a new vision board at the beginning of each year. And remember to keep your vision boards. I made the mistake of throwing one away, and I still regret that. Because you can look back over the years and see how those vision boards have come to be. In my vision board for 2 years ago, I had a picture of an island in the Mediterranean. And I ended up spending a week in Corfu that summer. I also had a beautiful picture of a family having dinner under market lights in their backyard. And this past summer, my son put up market lights, and that's where we had our socially distanced dinners as a family all summer long. So you never know how or when your visions are going to come to be, but trust me, you will be surprised at how many there were. Also, be sure and sign and date the back of the vision board, because you always want to know when each board was made. You could make the board about one area or about all different areas of your life. I like to make my board about all different areas and see how they are interconnected. And that's part of my theme of my life, is how to connect all the parts of my life. But it really depends on what's important to you and what your goals are. Now, once you have your vision board, and practically making, just find a large piece of poster board. I like to use something about 3 by 3. Get a bunch of magazines, spend a couple hours tearing out all the pictures and words that speak to you. Can really be a fun thing to do after you've taken a moment and figured out what your goals are. And when you're going through the magazines after you have your goals, you'll see that certain pictures just jump out at you, certain words just jump out at you. Words that jumped out to me last time were clean out. Little did I know that I'd get to spend all those endless hours under COVID quarantine cleaning out my cupboards, my pantry, my drawers. So, we never know what's going to happen, but things do tend to come to be. So now let's talk for a moment about step 3, affirmations. In my practice, I'm all about affirmations. When we actually write down what it is we want to achieve, when we actually put in a sentence what it is we want to achieve, we are able to make that happen so much easier. I'm sure that Alex would agree that when his clients write down what their goals are, they come to be more and more easier. So let's talk about affirmations. What are they? Affirmations are simply positive statements that say what you would like to be or do or have in your life. A good affirmation would be, I am calm and relaxed, if being anxious and upset is something that you struggle with. I am a successful hypnotherapist is one that I really like. I can manage my weight. I am a winner. All of these affirmations are positive. They speak to what it is your goals are and easy to remember. You can focus on one each day. That can be your mantra for the day. And also, you can read and write them at night. We do have access to our subconscious mind for about 30 to 45 minutes at the end of each day and in the morning after we wake up. So what you think about and what you do for those 45 minutes at each end of your day really make a difference in your life. I write my affirmations every morning because by the time night rolls around, I'm just too tired. But you can also do them at night. And then that's also a really good time to focus on education. What do I want to be learning about in my life? Those golden minutes are a good time to bring in good education and learning into your life. So I would suggest taking a moment, centering yourself, figuring out what it is your goals are, and then having the fun of making a vision board, and then translating that vision board into a set of affirmations. So those are some ways that you can focus your attention for 2021, ways that you can change what is going on in your mind, which will then change what you achieve in your life. So that when it comes to December 31st, 2021, you will have made positive changes that you consciously chose for yourself. So that's me for today. I'd be happy to take any questions from the other panelists or if any of our listeners have any questions.
Thank you, Cinda. That was terrific. I love your voice. It's so calming and just, and by the way, I have your book here, The Power of Affirmations. And I have to say, I shamelessly stole one of mine from Ralph Graves Jr. And one of my affirmations is, I have enough money to give away $500,000 a year to charity.
That's right.
So thank you, Ralph, for that. Thank you.
That is a perfect affirmation.
Ralph, what are your thoughts and an affirmation maybe that you want to share?
Well, the first thing I want to say is whenever I'm having a stressful day or bad day, I am calling Cinda. That calming voice, that smooth tone, that just really brings you to a place that really centers you. But Cinda, thank you. I kind of wrote down what you said lastly, and I really liked it. What's going on in your mind will change what's going on in your life. And I mean, I'm going to tweet that later on, and I'm going to @ you and credit you because more people really need to know that. You know, my daughter just had a vision board party at her house not long ago, and it is the power of vision to really get us moving. And I really thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for that reminder. And you know, it's powerful. It's powerful. If we can really, really lock down some of these things, it will change the way we live. So thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Alex, I think you have muted yourself, I think. Okay,
I'm
there
here.
you go.
Hi. No, Ralph, that I was thinking the exact same thing, and I'm so glad you said it. What's going on in your mind is what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
Cinda, this was such a wonderful presentation because I have done all of these things, but separately. And it's such a wonderful, simple way to connect each of these excellent exercises that are life-changing. Everybody always told me to make a vision board, and I fought tooth and nail. Like, I don't need to make a vision board, blah, 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 blah. Right? And now I update my vision board, because as we evolve, as things happen, as we grow, as we experience new things, like, our visions change. Like, we create new pictures as we experience new things, and we want new things, and we take it to the next level. And when it comes to positive affirmations, the first half, 6 months into quarantine, I was experiencing a waking sense of dread every morning. I would wake up just afraid to get out of bed. It was actually taking the time and regularly making sure and making notes that I went through positive affirmations at night, like you said, right before bed, and then worked for the first question. The first thought I'd have within 30 seconds of waking up every morning would be, I have so much to be grateful for. What do I have to be grateful for? Right. How does it make me feel? And it was that, and that simple activity that changed my entire perspective. What's going on in your mind, it mirrors what's going on in your life. Thank you for such a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Alex. Dr. Jacalyn did share my book, which I didn't mention, The Power in Affirmations. And in the book, it's actually a book and journal. And there's a page to write your affirmations, but there's also a page opposite it to write what you're grateful for. Because what we have found is that people who are grateful are much happier. So I like to kind of pair those two things, doing affirmations and being grateful.
Cinda, you have a special offer for our audience. Would you share that, please?
I do. So right now I'm offering 3 sessions focusing on weight management, insomnia, or smoking cessation for $405. That's a little break from my regular fee, because I want people to get started this year in a positive way. So I'm happy to share that with everyone.
That's great. Thank you so much. Dear James, did you have any comments for Cinda?
I absolutely love the practicalness of it, the tools, the daily, these are all things, as Alex just said, the simple pieces of assembling them. And I love the fact that, the power of the positivity of it, the truth of it. So one of my mantras, my go-to mantras is I am. And it's an umbrella one, but it speaks to, you can break it down as Cinda did, but it's also I am. And it's so encompassing and fulfilling. So it lifts you. And these, from meditation to gratitude to the principles that she's teaching and offering, they're so grounded and rooted in simple truth, and they work and they're valuable. So again, a wonderful reminder and presentation.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Really great job. And I just wanted to make one additional comment. When I was doing my affirmations, I was really kind of going small. And then I heard Ralph, he has his own show, and he's like, no, go for it. So the affirmations that I have now, they're big. I'm going all the way. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I think
why not?
Yes, I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a question here from my sister, Deborah Wilson. How can you purchase Cindy's affirmation? Cinda, how can you purchase your book?
It's on my website, which I think scrolling across the bottom was cindaroffman.com. It's on my website.
There it is. Okay, that's great to know.
I'd be happy to send it to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cinda. All right, dear James, you are up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, my friend, take it away. Let me set the clock for your 15 minutes. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. And again, welcome. And it's an honor and a privilege to be with everyone here today and for all of you listening. And when Dr. Jacalyn created this A Better You offering and platform, And I got to thinking for today, in terms of the offering, what does it mean, a better you? What does that mean? How do you achieve it? What are the obstructions, if you will? What plays into all of that? And so as I kept thinking about a better you, and a dear friend and colleague said to me many, many, many times, keep it simple. It's always keep it simple. And as you look to the presentations that you've just heard with Alex and Cinda, and I'm sure Ralph coming up and everything, there's this simple point. The word that kept coming back to me over and over and over again was goodness. And when I created, when Dear James came into creation, it was intuited. And so, of course, they gave me Dear James. And they also gave that, with that, they gave me wrap yourself in goodness. And so wrap yourself in goodness is the founding purpose, the founding principle of Dear James. And with it then was the motto that it's more than a philosophy, it's a way of life. That you wrap yourself in goodness, that you live this way, that you think this way, that you embody it. Because when you stop and you think about goodness and you think about the world, look at the world that we're in, the backdrop. And the common core, no matter your identity, your ethnicity, your societal, wealth or deprivation, where you are on the scale, what's common amongst all of us is our humanity. And what's common within our humanity is our goodness. It's a founding, innate principle within us. And along the journey, as Alex was mentioning, sometimes we're so focused on the destination that we don't savor the journey. And so a better you, for me, means to wrap yourself in goodness, to live this way. And there are so many ways, but in the simplest way, the simplest purpose of that is goodness. It's in 2 Daniel. And it says, for this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness. Add to goodness knowledge. And to knowledge, self-control. And to self-control, perseverance. And to perseverance, godliness. And to godliness, mutual affection. And to mutual affection, love. And so you can see that just contained within this, foundationally, innate within us, is goodness. And so when we're out looking, when we're just out doing whatever we're doing, when we begin our day, when we wake up, when we go to sleep, are we beginning our day and ending our day and everything that's in between it? Are we beginning our life and ending our life with goodness? It's free. It costs us nothing. And yet it's so readily withheld and can be yet readily offered. I love the fact in the presentation so far that you've heard with what Dr. Jacalyn is doing by creating this. What is it at its core? A better you. She's creating goodness. Alex, Ralph, Cinda, creating goodness, reminding you of your goodness. I loved the gentleman in Band-Aids that he had Disney character Band-Aids on his finger. Goodness. It's simple. It's pure. It's limitless. There's an interesting piece that the word goodness is mentioned 20 times in the New International Version of the Bible. And it's mentioned 51 times in the King James Version. And what's interesting about that is, of course, it always speaks to God's goodness and so forth. And so when I say this not from a religious place, but from a spiritual place, that Again, goodness transcends. Source transcends. The all that is the all that is. It transcends. And so what was interesting is when you apply those numbers are very important to me, from numerology and listening to the unseen, and everything has an impression. Everything about each of us is energy, is an impression. So from our name to our dates of birth, everything plays a role in who you are. And in the ancient divination, the Chinese divination, the I Ching, hexagram 20 is about contemplation. And hexagram 51 is about shock. And shock can be positive, an epiphany, shock. And so when you stop to look at those two words, or the meanings, the hexagram 20, contemplation, in relation to goodness, that you contemplate goodness. And then you stop and you think about the shock factor of goodness. And you realize the hidden influence with hexagram 20, the hidden influence of that hexagram is to regenerate, to renew, to regenerate. And its underlining causes is great power. So hidden in goodness is regenerative. It amplifies, it multiplies. It demonstrates its limitlessness. And then its underlining cause is great power. It's empowerment. With great power comes great responsibility. We're at a turning point. We're at a place where we have a choice. We always have a choice. We choose every day. But do we choose our goodness? Do we choose to be good? To be a better you? Do I choose that version of myself? Or do I fall to the lesser evils, the shadows, the lesser, what's easy? Goodness is easy. We just have to choose it. And so, because it's innate, it amplifies, it's limitless, it uplifts, it empowers. The hidden influence of hexagram 51 of shock is to innovate. And its underlining cause is to permeate. Well, imagine a world where you wake up and your innate choice is goodness. You are a better you because you're good, because you do good, because you offer good, because you wrap yourself in goodness. You live this way and you freely share it with others. This is the moral of the story for me. If there was something to take away from today with all of this, when we've listened with Cinda and the principles and everything, and with Alex and the beauty, the humanity that was on display in the film Band-Aids, it's goodness. They were willing to come forward. Cinda is saying to you, come forward. Put your vision, put your best you forward. Put the vision of what that looks like, of that feeling. And that's all that Source wants. That's what the unseen wants for us. It's the only thing that our true north, our compass, our soul source connection, it's goodness. It cannot be anything but goodness. And so when we stop to contemplate this, because again, the world's at a pivotal moment here. We are at a choice point of whether we choose to be good, to live in a good way, to love thy neighbor as thyself, to do unto others as we would have done to us. They are simple principles. It's simple. And somehow, you gotta love humans. We go out of our way to make it complicated. We go out of our way to externalize. And yet, again, with Alex and his incredible organization, it's an internal, everything's an internal job. Everything is internal. There is no shame in any of this. There's goodness. It's happening for a reason. It's happening for you, not to you. What's the goodness in it? What in its depth, at its root, what is good? That's what this journey is about. It's reminding ourselves of our divinity. It's reminding ourselves of our goodness. And so as we journey on, as we do what we're doing, and I work with clients on a daily basis around the world via Zoom and Skype and so forth. And the whole point is you're reminding yourselves, connecting you to your soul source connection. It is your true north. It is your internal compass. It is your internal goodness. It's your internal greatness. We're all a spark of the divine. So when we lead, when the soul leads, which means source leads, it's not the ego, it's not the personality, it's soul source, it's source leading. And so that's why I term it soul coaching. But it's from an intuitive place, and it's to remind everyone of their goodness, of what's pure, what's true, what's innate. And then how do you go about wrapping yourself in that goodness on a daily basis, moment by moment, day by day, month by month, week by week, year by year? That's the principle of it. That's the point of it. That's why we're here. Think of the ripple. Think of the ripple effect when we all wrap ourselves in goodness. It means be who you were created to be. Be who you are. You are goodness. You can't be anything other than that. At your core, that is true. And so these are the principles, the offerings. Again, I've had many. I'm very grateful, and I'm very humbled to be a custodian of Dear James and Wrap Yourself in Goodness, because it makes you a better person, a better you. It makes you a better person, and each of us in our own way are doing that. Each of us fundamentally are looking to make the world a better place, make our lives a better place. And we can do that through goodness. And so that is the core message that I hope everyone takes away, is just reflect for a moment. Sit today and listen and see how you can wrap yourself in goodness, how you can lead with your soul, lead with goodness, lead with kindness. Live this way and see the ripple effect that has, the immediacy of that ripple effect. Because there's something really great, the kindness of, saying a simple smile, holding the door open for someone, doing a kind act without an expectation in return. I often say we're in the age of Aquarius, we're in the age of enlightenment, not entitlement. And so when we release our entitlements and we simply stand in enlightenment, goodness prevails. It can't be any other way. So I welcome to take questions or speak with the other panelists and everything. And again, Dr. Jacalyn, thank you for the opportunity to be a better you.
Dear James, that was very powerful. I found myself emotional through a lot of that. And I just wanted to add that I have worked with Dear James last year. He did a reading for me, and I wasn't happy with it, actually, because there are a lot of things that I didn't want to face. I didn't want to look in the mirror and say, wow. And guess what? Everything he said was true. And we have had other conversations and things have evolved, and I feel like I'm in the lane I'm supposed to be. And I really have to thank Dear James for bringing me to where I am.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. And as I say, it's Soul Source and Symphony. It's upstairs. I'm just the vessel, the conduit. I often joke and say I don't write the news, I just report it. And sometimes it's not fun being the messenger, but, you know.
Well, dear James, I know you have a special offer for our audience. Would you care to share that? It is streaming, but for people in radio.
Absolutely. So I'm offering a 10% discount on 60 or 90-minute intuitive consultations. And you just use the New Year Action code when you're checking out. And you can go to dearjames.com and go to consultations, and that's where you can review purchasing them.
Excellent. Thank you for that offer. I appreciate it. Let's start with you, Ralph. What comments do you have for Dear James in his presentation?
Goodness is easy. We just have to choose it. That was dynamite. And you're absolutely right. Goodness is easy. We just have to choose it. Dear James, man, I want to thank you for that, man. And it is a choice. My wife, she's big on you're going to choose how your day is going to go. And that you know, receiving this message of goodness today was something that we need, especially in this world today with all that's going on. We get a chance to choose how we react to the things that are going on in our lives, and we get a chance to choose goodness. But man, you really spoke volumes to us today. Thank you for that, dear James.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. We have a comment from Deborah Wilson. Wrapping yourself in goodness is such a beautiful message. Each of us is a gift, and rising to our purity and goodness is so important for ourselves and others. Living in oneness, doing unto others as we would have done to us is critical. Thank you very much, dear James, for the reminder. Beautiful.
Thank you, Deborah.
Comment. Thank you, Deborah. Mr. Kaplan.
Dear James, this is remarkable what you do. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for being the best. You know, this is what stuck out to me. Of course, choosing goodness every day. This is just, it's something we don't think we can do. We think that life is happening to us. And as something I've been holding on to throughout COVID, that a friend of mine said is life is happening for you, not to you, as you said. We get to make these choices every day. And the way you speak to it and the way you communicate what's possible and goodness and what's positive is just so encouraging and inspiring. It makes me think of Dharma, right? So Dharma, there's no easy translation of Dharma into English, but really what Dharma is in the Venn diagram of skill, passion, and service. It's that sweet spot in the middle where it's all about feeling of worth and of value for what you bring to the table, but also how we connect it to others. And bringing to others into the world is what makes us feel most whole. And I think that speaks to what you're speaking to. I so deeply admire what you do and your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And we have another comment from Diane Bame. All the guests are fantastic. Dear James is exceptional. Soul searching sometimes is hard for people to understand and might even be afraid of, but Dear James seems to make it easy to want to step through the door. Wow, Diane.
Wow, thank you, Diane.
That's amazing. Diane was one of our presenters yesterday. Thank you, Diane. Cinda, how about you? Any thoughts for Dear James?
Well, I think that we're all kind of saying the same thing, but James just said it a little bit better, I think. We all have choices to make. We all have, different ways to live our lives. And this is our opportunity, because we're here today, to say, I choose to live my life in a positive way. I choose to find the goodness. And I think that's a great message, especially in this time, because, it's difficult right now for lots and lots of reasons. And we have the ability as humans to get caught up in what's going on very easily. But we also have the intelligence and the ability to say to ourselves, let's take a step back. Let's decide what we want to do. Do we want to see the good in people, or do we want to see the bad in people? Do we want to see the good in ourselves? And what are we going to do with that good once we see it? So I think, we're all kind of dovetailing into, making our lives better, which is what it's all about.
Thank you, Alex.
I have a quick question for dear James. So you finished off talking about letting go of entitlement and opening up to enlightenment, which I deeply identify with. I just had something that I work with a coach, and after 3 years, I think she finally pierced my armor this week. And I know it was crazy. I started crying on the phone with my coach for the very first time in 3 years. She's like, "There you go." And what it was about was it was about this sense of not being deserving of anything, of love, of wealth, of anything. And I have this fear that people will always say no, and that I'm not deserving of the things that I might ask for, or that I work for, or anything. And so when you speak to letting go of entitlement and opening yourself to enlightenment, I wonder if you relate, or if you're speaking to this idea of letting go of entitlement, but still holding on to this sense of being a deserving individual and human being.
Absolutely, because so Alex, the piece comes, entitlement normally, what comes with it is hubris. There's an entitlement factor, as opposed to humility, surrender, humility. It doesn't mean that we give up our desires, our goals, and so forth. However, it means that we flow in the river, we're in the stream, and we do it from a place of humility, of grace, of goodness. But so many times, and as Cinda was saying a moment ago, to tie this together, I kept hearing over and over and over again, it's time. It's time. And what that means is that, it's time for us to choose. It's time for us. You can no longer sit on the fence and straddle the fence between, is it a right? Is it a luxury? Is it a privilege? It's time. Choose. Choose which side of the fence you stand on. Is it on the side of good, of surrender, of humility, of grace, of goodness? Because that's empowering. To surrender is to empower. And so the breakthrough that you had specifically, Alex, is, what you're speaking to. Every human being walks through life saying, am I worthy? Am I worthy? We all do. We all have it. It's as you articulated with addiction, everyone has it. There's a shadow. Okay. How we overcome it, or how we move through it, how we transcend those things, comes from a choice of goodness, comes from a choice of enlightenment, not entitlement. It's not owed to us. It's on offer. It's not something to be taken. You don't rule the world through force. You can move mountains through humility, through grace, through goodness. People will line up behind you and follow you when you're doing it from a state of purity, from a state of grace, humility. And so that's the piece that we're talking to, is entitlement has a negative connotation. Enlightenment is limitless. It's free. It's uplifting. It's powerful. It's empowering. So approach and choose, because it's time. That's what what I'm hearing is that it's time. We're no longer humanity. We're no longer afforded this, riding down the highway and, woo, I don't have to choose, No, it's time to choose and line up.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Alex, I think that was a really great question, because I know myself, and I've worked a lot on it, but having an autoimmune illness, ulcerative colitis, I've thought for a lot of my life, I didn't deserve, I wasn't worthy. And I think, that takes a lot of work. And I think to Ralph and his shows and his sermons, he touches on that a lot. And I can't wait to hear your presentation. Ralph, are you ready?
I'm ready. I don't know. You know, I'm amateur now. You let all the pros go. You should let me go first, and all the pros win. I have nothing to say. We'll give it a shot. We'll give it a shot.
So I want to tee up your commercial. Let's just take a look at Unstoppable.
All right.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. All right, my friends. Spotlight is on you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. And I'm just so happy to be on this panel and with these beautiful people. And I've learned so much this morning. I really have. And I just thank you, Jacalyn, for this opportunity. And thank you for the other guests for just pouring into my life this morning. My name is Ralph Graves Jr. I pastor a church called Cornerstone Community Church in South Jersey. I'm a retired police officer. I'm an author, radio show host, done some things like that. When we were allowed to, I went around, did a lot of speaking. But I wrote a book, and guys, I wrote a book called Unstoppable. And one thing that my 20 years as a police officer has shown me, you know, I was young when I started. I was like 20, 21. And I would come across different people, all walks of life, and some were wildly successful, some were not. And I found out that the ones that were successful in what they did, they kind of applied these universal laws that I write about in Unstoppable. I believe that there's a God of the universe. I'm a believer. I make no qualms about it. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. But I also believe that God has given us dominion over certain things. And now when I talk about universal laws, like gravity, like I said before, it doesn't matter who you are. If you or I stand on top of a building and jump off the building, we have violated the law of gravity, and we're going to pay the price. That's a universal law. And so in the book, I got to talk about the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectation, law of reciprocity, law of habit, law of forgiveness. Now, there are many other laws that we ought to govern ourselves with, these universal laws. But I just talk about 7 or 8 of them and how they have really affected my life and what I do. And so I kind of want today just kind of talk about the law of control. You know, dear James talked about it earlier. Goodness is easy. We just have to choose to do it. And that's really an example of the law of control. Things are going to happen in the world. There are going to be good times. There are going to be bad times. These are just the times that we live in. But we have control over how we respond to what is happening, how we respond to the things that happen in our lives, how we can take part in our own comeback, if you will. Law of control is not about controlling others. It's about internal control, which if I control certain things internally, it will affect my external. It will affect how I see things. We can't go through life with a victim mentality. Like Cinda said earlier, we have to have some positive affirmations. And I'm sure Cinda coaches and teaches that it's one thing to have positive affirmations. It's another thing to now control the actions that will lead to these outcomes in your lives. And so we have control of that. And so the law of control simply states that it has a lot to do whether you feel positive or negative about yourself. I get a chance to wake up this morning. I got a chance to wake up, and like dear James said, I got a chance to choose goodness. I got a chance to decide that it's going to be a good day today. Now, it didn't matter if it was cold outside. I'm here in South Jersey. I woke up, it was 25 degrees. I'm a warm-blooded creature. I could have said, I'm going to have a horrible day because it's cold. I'm not going to do that. I like the warm weather, but I decided, you know what? It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. So I decided, these things that happen to me, I get a chance to decide how I think about these things. I get to control how we think. And controlling how we think, like the other panelists has said, is really the key to maximizing our lives. When we see all the trouble going on in the world, we see all the trouble going on in the country and things like that. Do we let it affect us? Do we let it kind of weigh on us with a negative spin? I mean, you can, and you'll show it. But hey, if I choose to control how it affects me, if I put some things in place to determine, hey, listen, I'm going to monitor how much I get of this and monitor how much I get of that, I get a chance to control that. I get a chance to control what I eat. That means I get a chance to control my health. I get a chance to control what I read, so I can control my attitude. And so that's what I kind of talk about in the book. I kind of talk about different laws like that. And a big one for me is the law of control. Another big one for me is the law of reciprocity. It's a universal law that if you want to receive, then you have to be a giver. You have to be a giver. You have to. That's huge for me. You have to learn to give. Whatever you give, it's coming back. So you know what? I give out smiles. I try to give out some goodness. Jacalyn talked earlier. One of my affirmations is to be in a position to where my wife and I can give away $500,000 a year to our favorite charity or spread amongst charities, because I understand that life is about giving. That's also a very powerful universal law is giving. Another one of my favorites, and I don't want to really go onto all of them, but another one of my favorites is the law of forgiveness. I can't hold on. I can't hold on to what people have done to me. I tell a story in the book, in the law of forgiveness. I want you to pick up the book, but I tell a story about holding on to things. It's like a snake in a tool shed. He's in the tool shed and he's going through the tool shed and he comes across a saw, and the teeth of the saw begin to cut him. And so because the snake gets angry, he begins to squeeze the saw. Instead of just moving on, he begins to squeeze it, knowing that the saw doesn't even have life. But as he squeezes it to the point where the teeth of the saw begin to do him damage and do him harm, and eventually dies because he just couldn't let go. So, it's important that we understand that forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for us. Forgiveness is for me. Forgiveness is for you to let go, to move on. Again, you can't control everything that happens, but you can control your response to it. And so that's what being unstoppable is about. Unstoppable is about applying some of these universal laws to your life. I've seen it happen in all walks of life. Here's the thing about universal laws. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what's in your bank account. It doesn't matter your educational level. It doesn't matter who you know, who you don't know. If you learn to navigate within these universal laws, universal principles that God has set up, you'll be successful. You'll be successful. Listen, God has granted us dominion. You have dominion over certain things in your life, not dominion over people, but you do have dominion over your thoughts. You do have dominion over how you handle certain things that happen in your life. And so that's what it's about. I started a program. We'll launch it in March. It's called the Gulfstream Way. A friend of mine, we started. It'll be an online program, and we'll be talking about applying these principles to your life. We named it the Gulf Stream because it's the Gulf Stream that kind of dictates the climate in the world, and so your thoughts, your actions, how you respond to things in life will really dictate how you live this life. Will dictate how you handle the things that come your way. I read something yesterday, guys, and it said that life is beautiful and life is awful. In between the beautiful moments are the setbacks and the awful moments. And, a lot of times we want to rewrite the story, but I don't want to rewrite my story. I'd rather engineer a comeback. That makes for a better story. And so you get a chance to engineer your comeback, and just by really how you think and let your actions be motivated by the right thoughts, by the right thoughts, and it'll really put you in position for success and to climb higher. Let me tell you the story before I sit down, or I am sitting down, but before I get out of this thing. There was a frog, right? And I love this story. There was a group of frogs. There was a group of frogs. If you heard it before, just please act like this is the first time you heard it. There was a group of frogs, and they had a competition of who could climb this greased pole. And all these little frogs, and they began climbing the grease pole, and the frog reporter was out there reporting what was going on. So all these frogs began to climb, and people from the bottom started shouting, "You'll never make it. You can't do it. It'll never happen for you." And frogs began to fall off one by one. These little frogs began to fall off. Other frogs were shouting, "You'll never make it." So one frog made it to the top, and when he came down, the news reporter frog runs over to him, and he begins his interview, and he said, "How did you make it to the top?" And it was at that moment that he realized the frog that made it to the top was deaf. He was deaf. He decided, and because he couldn't hear what other frogs were saying, what other people were saying, what other frogs were saying, he made it to the top. So listen, you can control what you hear. You can control what you listen to. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to those who say you can't make it. You can make it. You will make it. You can be unstoppable. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope that blessed you guys.
You're amazing, sir. You are a gift to the world.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
I love the frog story, because that's really what I was talking about.
Yeah.
What we tell ourselves is what comes to be. And he was telling himself all the way to the top, I can do this.
Exactly.
Hear all those people saying, no, you can't. No, you can't.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Great.
I just heard this story just a couple of months ago from my coach. It's a practice I've put into practice. So the frog story, I've never heard it before. That's the most wonderful story. Bear Bryant, the college football coach who's famous for making champions, he had a practice where after each game, he would show his team the game footage, but he only ever showed them when they did well.
Yes.
And it was about showing your successes. And that's actually, it wasn't about what you did wrong and how you can improve. It's about building a successful mindset. That's now I have an alarm that goes off every day that has like my 3 top achievements that I like to remember, that goes off at 9, noon, and then 6 p.m. at night, so that I just always remember the things that I've done well to keep that mindset going. Yeah.
That was fabulous. Sorry, I was on mute, guys, but I was saying, Ralph, that was such a moving presentation, and I love the story about the frog, like what Cindy was saying, and the frog reporter too. That was a story that will resonate. I did want to bring up a picture of your book cover. It is an overlay, so it's going to block us, but here is the book, Unstoppable. And Ralph, you do have a special offer, which I hope people will take advantage of. If they email you, what will happen within 24 hours?
If they email me within 24 hours of this broadcast, I'm going to send you a free book. I just want to get this in your hands because I want you to be unstoppable. I'm just going to give you the book. So if you email me at ralph@ralphgravesjr.com, email address, wherever you want the book sent, I'll sign a copy and get it to you, get it in your hands. And because I want to be unstoppable together. Let's be unstoppable together.
There it is. Ralph at ralphgravesjr.com within 24 hours of this broadcast.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, panel, what an incredible gift you are together now. Right now, you're all together. You've met each other and individually. I have been overcome by emotion just listening to all that you've shared. And that's what a better you is about. And I think as we close out the program today, and by the way, we are right on time, so thank you for that. I would just like to have you share for our audience, times are difficult, people are struggling, some people are thriving. What is it that somebody can do right now, this minute, to be a better you? Ralph?
Oh, okay. Look for the opportunity within the crisis. There's an opportunity within every crisis. There is an opportunity, and look for it, and look for it. You'll get it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We do have a comment. Let's see. Diane Bain. Re-engineer a comeback. Love it. Excellent. Alex, how can our audience be a better you? What can they do right now?
Yeah. Cinda was talking about gratitude, and something I learned that helped me get through this crazy time is throughout the years, people have always said, like, you need to practice gratitude. And so I'd make a gratitude list, and a lot of people make gratitude lists, but that never really did it. It wasn't until a friend of mine told me how to break it down a little bit deeper that I started to understand the actual activity that begets a more positive mindset in that practice of gratitude. And so what that is when you think, this is what I'm grateful for. I am grateful to have a home and shelter, wake up in a bed every morning where I am safe and everything. And then ask yourself, continue, because it makes me feel safe. It makes me feel okay. It makes me feel as though I have a chance at this. And so I go into my fridge and I am grateful that there is food in the fridge because it makes me feel that I'm doing well, that I have made enough money that I can feed myself. Yeah. Once you actually start to discuss internally, like how it makes you feel, you start to shift your thinking and you start to shift the way you feel and you start to live in those feelings. So it's the activity of gratitude is, this is what I'm grateful for, and this is how it makes me feel. Go down that spiral, go down that rabbit hole, and it'll change your day in an instant.
Really great points. And sometimes I think we do take for granted things that are basic and around us, that a home, a roof over our head, food in the refrigerator. Really good points. Dear James?
I would say absolutely be good to yourself, be good to others. Remember that it's free, it's limitless and free. And as Ralph, one of the law of reciprocity, I absolutely love, because we are in constant reciprocity with each other, with ourselves, with the seen and the unseen. So just be good to yourself. Remember to be good to yourself, and you'll be good to others.
And I think a lot of times we feel guilty being good to ourselves, right? And we need to eliminate that. If we don't have self-love and self-care, it's going to be more difficult to act with goodness. So
absolutely. Guilt is a wasted emotion. Get rid of it.
That's right.
Exactly.
Get rid of it.
And
I agree.
I'm going to go to Cinda in a minute, but I just wanted to also say that story, Ralph, about the snake and the snake. That's so powerful. When we think about guilt, for example, shame, humiliation, all those things, like that bag of bricks that we just keep dragging from one part of our life to the next. So
you got to let it go. A lot of times people think it's all about forgiving the other person. And sometimes you got to forgive yourself. It ain't about forgiving anybody else. It's sometimes forgiving yourself, but you got to let that go. You got to let it go. It's part of your story. Let it go.
Cinda.
I would suggest we focus on self-care, which is kind of what we're all saying, but really specifically remind yourself that when you're on an airplane and you're told what to do in an emergency, when the oxygen mask comes down, you have to put it on yourself first. We cannot take care of others unless we're taking care of ourselves first. So all this time, these few seconds that you're going to spend reading your affirmations, thinking about positive things, focusing on the good, focusing on gratitude, those seconds are vitally important each and every day.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, it has been a true pleasure having you on, and I really hope that people out there are going to reach out to you, because if they don't, they're missing an incredible opportunity to have you in their lives. We provided all the contact information. If anyone didn't get it, please email me, Jacalyn at drjacalyn.com. Just go to my website, drjacalyn.com. So friends, thank you again. I really appreciate it. We will have some big announcements to be making, but until then, finally getting pen to paper, I just want to encourage our audience, if you'd like to be a presenter, we'd love to have you. You can go to a betteryou.tv. That's a betteryou.tv. Our shows are Wednesdays from 4 to 5:30 and Thursdays from 11 to 12:30. All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for bringing us together.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I tried to ignore it, but my stomach issues were out of control. I couldn't fix them on my own. It was time to do something. A friend said the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation could help me find a specialist. Feels good to finally have a plan. Don't hide your symptoms. Get help at spillyourguts.org today.